Hey, what's up, YouTube family? It's your favorite black guy from Nebraska. Yes, indeed, there are black people here in the great state of Nebraska. It's Wednesday, it's hump day. You're almost there. Since you guys enjoyed my content yesterday, we're going to go ahead and segue into more content that has to do with Diddy. But this time, we're going to talk about the assassination of Biggie Smalls. We're going to go into the intricate details of his assassination. Like Tupac, he was murdered in a car. Like Tupac, cops were involved. And like Tupac, the FBI watched as this young man lost his life. So let's go ahead and get started without further ado. Here we go. Now, this is out of the book called The FBI War on Tupac Shakur and Black Leaders. FBI and ATF watch again as death row cops are nailed in Biggie's murder. 6 months after Tupac Shakur's murder, a gunman murdered chart-topping rapper Biggie Smalls. The gunman fatally shot Biggie from his car after midnight on March 9, 1997 in Los Angeles. A few months after the murder of Yafu Fula. Now, Yafu Fula was the best witness in Tupac's murder. He was his half-brother. He was murdered in November. Pac was murdered in September. And Biggie was murdered in March 9, 1997, so almost a year later. And the year before that, of Orlando Anderson. Los Angeles Police Detective Russell Poole first took an interest in Biggie's murder investigation after he investigated the murder of death row cop Kevin Gaines. Working on that case led to him stumbling upon the corrupt activities of death row's Los Angeles police officers. In doing so, he gained an assignment as an investigator in Biggie's case, the next Tupac-linked murder. Okay, family, so these cops that you see on the screen, from left to right, you got Kevin Gaines, David Mack, Rafael Perez. All of these cops were at the Peterson Automotive Museum the night Biggie was murdered. They were there on scene. We now have picture and video evidence of them being there on the scene. You can find it on YouTube if you look for it. Now let's go ahead and continue to move forward. Poole proved a highly credible source on the activities of the Los Angeles police. Poole's father worked for decades in the LAPD, and Poole himself had 10 years of homicide investigation experience. During those years, he received regular accommodations and promotions to reach the high-level Bureau of Special Operations. Poole's investigation led filmmaker Nick Broomfield to feature him in a major theatrical release, Biggie and Tupac. Rolling Stone and Esquire magazine writer Randall Sullivan also featured Poole in his book Labyrinth, 2002. Both film and book came after Poole's resignation due to the LAPD's stonewalling his investigation. Poole's investigation, with the help of fellow officer Ken Knox, accumulated direct witnesses and solid evidence that LAPD cops working with death row orchestrated Biggie's murder and trafficked drugs. As detailed, Poole had also found evidence that death row cops orchestrated Tupac's murder as well. According to Poole, these cops murdered Biggie to further divert people's attention. They wanted to make it look as if Tupac's murder stemmed from the East-West rap rivalry. When Poole communicated these findings to his LAPD superiors, they ignored his reports, transferred him to another division, and threatened him. Biggie was murdered when a gunman pulled up next to his car and fatally shot him outside an automotive museum party in early March of 1997. Quincy Jones Quest Records and B.I.G magazine held the party in conjunction with the 11th annual Soul Train Music Awards. Many Los Angeles police officers were present at the high-publicity event, even some who were moonlighting as bodyguards for the record label that produced Biggie, Sean Puffy Combs' Bad Boy Records. But few attempted to pursue the gunman, and the guards reportedly couldn't get a partial license plate number or a good enough description for police to trace the gunman's car. Biggie's friends, rapper James Lil Cease, Lloyd, and Damon D-Rock Butler were riding in the backseat of Biggie's car when he was murdered. They described the shooter for a police artist to make a composite sketch of the gunman the very next day. When Las Vegas Sun reporter Kathy Scott asked the LA police for a copy of the sketch, they said it wasn't kept on file. The sketch took 36 months to get into the media, and then only when it was leaked. Butler and Little Cease, Lloyd's police sketch of the killer reportedly matched Harry Billups, a.k.a. Amir Muhammad, a close friend of death row cop David Mack. Now pay attention, guys. This is some real good information that's about to come up. Another witness more clearly identified Billups. Filmmaker Broomfield showed a lineup of lineup to Eugene Deal, a New York State parole officer working as a bodyguard for Sean Puffy Combs. From that lineup, Deal picked Harry Billups as Biggie's killer. Deal's description of the killer also matched Lloyd's description of Biggie's murderer. Detective Poole presented witness Damian Butler another photo lineup, and Butler identified police officer David Mack as standing just outside the Automotive Museum party in street clothes, shortly before Biggie's murder. Like I said, they were there, and there's more video and picture evidence of them being there online now today. More evidence indicating Mack was that Biggie's murderer used a German-made brand of bullets rarely found in L.A., yet Mack had them in his home. And Mack owned a dark-colored Chevrolet Impala, the type that Biggie's assailant used for the drive-by murder. But LAPD superiors wouldn't allow Detective Poole to do forensic tests on Mack's car. I wonder why. People also saw Orlando Anderson at Biggie's murder scene. As previously detailed, evidence supports Anderson's work with Suge Knight in the Las Vegas lobby scuffles to set up a false gang retaliation motive for Tupac's murder. That people saw Anderson with his Crip uncle Keith Davis and the death row cops furthers the evidence of connections between the death row cops and the murders of Biggie and Tupac. Other prominent witnesses to death row murder of Biggie included death row accountant Mark Hyland. Hyland described how Suge Knight, accompanied by death row's police associates Rafael Perez and David Mack, gave him money to obtain the gun that they said they would use to kill Biggie. Hyland gave details of these incidents on film for Nick Broomfield, as well as for Detective Poole when he was officially investigating the murder. Poole found that Hyland's story matched his airline flights, hotel stays from LA to Phoenix, where Hyland said a Phoenix cop gave him the murder weapon, with which he apparently drove back to LA. Most importantly, similar to reports of an FBI agent amongst the death row entourage tailing Tupac's car at his murder scene, an FBI agent was present at Biggie's murder. Detective Russell Poole and Nick Broomfield confirmed the Los Angeles Times report that New York police agents were present when the gunman shot Biggie. Poole and Broomfield further confirmed that one agent was a New York detective who also worked for the FBI and took pictures of Biggie minutes before his shooting. Wow. Award-winning reporter Kathy Scott further said it became widely reported that the FBI watched both Biggie and Tupac's murders. Keyword, they watched. She also said that FBI agents told her they are supposed to stop their surveillance and intervene if a crime takes place during their surveillance. So why didn't they do that? I'm pretty sure they were probably supervising the assassinations. In his book, Labyrinth, Brandel Sullivan reported on Poole's investigation. Poole gave Sullivan copies of all his police documents, and they backed Sullivan's note that the FBI/New York detective taking pictures of Biggie within minutes of his murder was Detective Oldham. Accompanying Oldham was another member of the New York police working with a federal agency, Special Agent Timothy Riley of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Former FBI informant Kevin Hackey, who claimed to have documents proving that an FBI agent followed in the line of cars behind Tupac's when he was murdered, also claimed that an agent was accompanied by an ATF agent. Larry Shears, a former ATF agent, said that the ATF had a history of placing murder contracts on left-wing activists. In the 70s, Shears testified in court that the ATF contracted out the unconsummated murders of Black Panther Eldridge Cleaver and labor organizer Cesar Chavez. The ATF also collaborated with the FBI to target Huey Newton at that same time. And finally, the FBI and ATF worked in Riot Unit Joint Task Force LA that waged a war on gangs just after the riots and Bloods, Crips, Peace Truce. In their questioning of Biggie's friends, police incidentally revealed agents surveillance of Biggie within minutes of his murder. Lil Cease Lloyd, one of the passengers sitting behind Biggie, said that police showed him these FBI photos of the museum party. "Do you know who this is?" they asked him, not realizing that they were pointing at Lloyd himself. The photos were taken as late as 10 minutes before the killing, according to a Los Angeles Times story. For his documentary, Biggie and Tupac, Nick Broomfield filmed his discussions with Biggie's mother, Voletta Wallace, who asked Biggie's old friend Lloyd to come over and talk with Nick Broomfield. Lloyd told Broomfield about the police showing him the pictures. Broomfield then tracked down the FBI NYPD detective Oldham, who took the pictures. Broomfield filmed at least one scene that was both grave and humorous. He showed himself driving through traffic as he called Detective Oldham with his cell phone. Miking both sides of the conversation, Broomfield asked if this was Detective Oldham. Blanking out the name, Oldham said yes and confirmed that he was the one who took the pictures in L.A., but he wouldn't say why he was investigating Biggie Smalls. Oldham said he couldn't talk because he was in court at Sean Puffy Combs' gun possession trial. Now, why would he be at Sean Puffy Combs' gun possession trial? That's an interesting question. Despite 3 years passing, Biggie's murder was an open case. Then Broomfield dodged Oldham's attempt to get information and further expose him for a comic moment in this serious film. "Where did you get my number?" asked Oldham. Broomfield remained quiet. "Where did you get my number?" Oldham repeated. "Sorry?" responded Broomfield, feigning poor reception. "Where did you get my number?" "Where did I get your number?" "Yes. Your number was one of the numbers I was given as somebody who was actually following Biggie at the time he was shot and who might be able to give me some information." "Who gave you my number?" Sorry? "Who gave you my number?" "I really don't know offhand who that was." "Okay. Well, when you figure it out, beat me. I'll call you back and we'll talk." That ends that chapter. So, very, very intriguing information. Like I've always told people, Tupac and Biggie's murders are more linked than people realize. And as these individuals were being assassinated, the FBI and the ATF were watching them, which means that, in my opinion, they knew exactly what was going on, and most likely they were supervising these assassinations, making sure all the players were doing their jobs, and making sure everything went according to plan. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, that is one of the chapters out of the book called The FBI War on Tupac Shakur and Black Leaders. It is a great read. I suggest you pick it up. The author's name is John Potash. All right, y'all. It's your favorite black guy from Nebraska. I'm out. I'll check you on the next one. Peace.